she said, and I'm telling you that our first order of business when we go on hiatus is to get you under contract. And I was like, oh yeah, dude.
Welcome to the Rad Actor Mindset Podcast. Each week, we sit down with actors and artists from around the world who have faced and conquered adversity on their journey. Their stories of resilience and passion will inspire and empower you to push forward in your own creative path. I'm Roger Anthony Dumadag, your host, and I'm thrilled to bring you these powerful conversations. Let's dive in and uncover the mindset of success. First of all, congratulations on the 7 seasons, and it's a huge accomplishment as an actor to be series regular on a network TV show and run for 7 seasons. So
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so that's man, I tell you what. So, you know, every audition you get in as an actor, and I know I'm this way, and I encourage others to be this way. Treat them all like they're the next big thing, even if you know they're not, right? If it's Two Line Cop, and it says you say 2 lines and then you're shot in the chest. Okay, I know I know that's not the next big thing that's going to blow up and keep me working for years because of that, right? However, when you audition for it, when you prepare for it, if you get the job or whatever, treat it like it is the next big thing.
Right.
So you don't undersell anything. So I remember when the SEAL team audition came in, it was very beginning of 2017, and it was just a normal taped audition, tape this, send it in. And I guess, shoot, man, I knew I knew I was being considered for it. I think the casting director, Ryan, had let my agent know that it was sent to producers. We'll let you know, right?
Right.
Um,
This was for Lieutenant Commander Eric Blackburn or another role?
Funny you ask, because in the pilot, he had a different name.
Ah, okay.
The script. So when I read for it, it was Lieutenant Commander Rojak.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Rojak was his last name, which is hilarious. Looking back on it. Yeah, Rojak. So it was 3 short scenes, 4 scenes. One was decent, and then the other 3 were short. So I taped it. I taped it on a Sunday night, sent it in, found out that I was going to produce. Like, okay, cool. And now this is a pilot, right?
Yeah. So brand new.
Yeah, it was brand new. This was for the pilot episode. And I don't really get excited about pilots, Roger, because in 2011 or 12, I ended up booking 3 pilots in a year in Louisiana.
Wow.
Yeah, it was man, I can tell you 2 of the names. I forgot the third one. Oh, yeah, it was Scent of the Missing for TNT, Hound Dogs for TBS, and Wild Card for USA. This was at a time when a lot of the premium cable channels were starting to do original
Their own
series
shows, right?
Yeah, and these 3 shows, man, was like I had a good role in all 3 of these pilots in 2011.
Okay.
And they all had a budget. They all had like recognizable or name actors in them. And I thought, this is cool. And not one of those pilots ever saw the light of day.
Most pilots don't even see the
Most pilots, no one ever sees them. They shoot them. Like they'll shoot 14 pilots and they'll pick 5 to make a series out of. The other 9 are just gone, Like what a weird business model that is, right? Because that costs a lot of money for all those pilots. So anyhow, because of 2011, I was never excited about pilots. I was like, okay, whatever. I looked at it as like, obviously you treat it like it's the next week's thing as far as your preparation goes, but I never got like super excited. Like this could be the thing,
Right. Yeah.
And funny because I was actually, I got a call back. I had moved to Atlanta by this point. And my agent had submitted me for a recurring guest star on the show Dynasty on
yes.
Yeah. And this was on the pilot for Dynasty also. It was about to start. So I get a call back for this role. And I even got a note from my agent saying, look, casting said, do exactly what you did on the tape. They already love you. Just go in there and do it, and you're done. Like you got it in the bag type thing. And on the way to it, I go park at the place, and I looked at my phone to check what are the dates of this pilot for Dynasty. And I looked, I'm like, wait a minute. Oh crap, there's an overlap with SEAL Team. And I haven't gotten official word, but I know I'm under consideration right now for SEAL Team.
Right.
Said,
good problems to have, right?
problem. But I'm like, but I also know that I'm about to walk into this casting office. And if there's a conflict, the casting director, they vouch for you and whatever. Like, they probably want to know as soon as possible if I couldn't do that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I call my agent. I'm like, hey, I just noticed that there's an overlap between Dynasty and SEAL Team. And I wanted to book both of them, right? And I said, he goes, oh crap. I said, you think, he goes, he knew where I was going. He said, let me call you back. He said, I'll call Ryan right now for SEAL Team, the cast director,
right,
and let him know that you're about to go into this callback for Dynasty, and there is an overlap. Meaning, do you want to book him or not? Type like let's
yeah.
let's try. We need to get him in place because right. And this was right when I walk in. So Roger, I'm parked. I talk to Alex, tell him that. Yep. Get out the car, walk in. I sign in. Judd, you're in. You're up next. Oh, phew. So I'm in and out of there in like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Call went great. I go back to the car. Missed call from Alex. Okay, you're booked for SEAL Team. This date to this date, and I'm like, oh crap. So he had to call the casting, and I booked. They wanted me for Dynasty.
Okay.
Right after that, they wanted me for Dynasty, but there was an overlap. Well, we worked it out where I could do both. But the network, this had never happened to me before. The parent network is the same for CBS and CW. And they stepped in and said, no, he can't do Dynasty.
He's got to do this.
He has to do this because the schedule's crazy and we're not going to get into that like a possibility. This takes priority. And that's never happened to me before. It's kind of cool to see how networks and the business part works. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, I never worked Dynasty, but if I had to choose, it would definitely be the SEAL Team thing.
Of course.
That worked out. That one worked out too.
And schedules change too. I mean, it could have. You never know with SEAL Team and or Dynasty, and then, oh, by the way, we need you on set.
Oh. Yeah, so I go. So I book it. I go to New Orleans. Spend a week or two over there because I was in multiple scenes. And Roger was really cool because this was the first time. This was at that point the biggest role I had gotten because I'd been a guest star before.
Right.
But on a pilot script, what they'll do is they'll list on the page after the title page, they've got the cast. And it'll be like the characters' names of the series regulars. Boom, up here. And then additional cast. And my character was the first one under those. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I felt like I made it. You know what I mean? Like I'm the top guy under the top guys. You know what I mean? And but it felt great. And I go over there and I shoot it, and I was like, man, the script was awesome. I look at the visuals on the monitor that they were shooting. I'm like, dude, this looks incredible. It looks, aesthetically looks great. And cast is great. The producers are great. But I was like, don't get excited, Judd. It's a pilot.
Yep.
And so I went home thinking that was an awesome project. And then a couple months later, they called me to do ADR, which is a very good sign that it's going to get picked up, where you have to go dub in your audio lines. And I'm on the headsets with them. And they, one of the producers and creator guy was like, telling me, Judd, your stuff is awesome, man. Your stuff came out so good or whatever, which is very nice because they don't have to say that stuff. And so I called my agent and I said, hopefully it'll go well, the show. And they gave me a hint. They were like, you'll see some announcements soon, we believe. We think you'll read some stuff soon. I called Alex again. I called my agent again. I said, hey, we need to watch the trades for SEAL Team because I think this might get picked up. And I said, they don't have to have me back, but I think they need that character. They need the commander. this could turn into a recurring, because I was like thinking I'd be a recurring guest star, right?
Right. Yeah. At least a recurring guest
At least a
star.
recurring guest star, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we started watching Trade. Sure enough, CBS to pick up SEAL Team. We're like, yes. Now we were waiting to see where it was going to get shot. Then we find out it's getting shot in LA.
Mm.
So I picked up the phone. I said, Alex, do me a favor, call the casting off, find out who's casting in LA, call them and let them know I could work as a local. I got friends out there. He said, you sure? I said, yeah, because if it's guest star pay, I'll still come out a little bit ahead. I can buy my plane ticket. Even if my friends, I can't stay there, I can get an Airbnb, rent me a little car at the rental car place, spend a little bit, but I'll make enough to get it. And I said, even if I break even, Alex, it's a recurring guest star, right? And he said, okay. So he calls and tells him that. And the casting person in LA said, oh, he said, I represent Judd. He played in the pilot. And just want to let you know he can work local if they need him. And she goes, oh my God, they were talking about him at the production meeting today. They didn't think he was she said, let me call you back. I got to go upstairs right now. So she goes upstairs and tells the producers, hey, the guy Judd you were talking about for the commander, he can work as a local. They were like, what? Book him. So that day, it all happened in like an hour. They booked me for episode 102.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is awesome. I'm flying to LA for 10 days to be a guest star. Now I can put on my resume, recurring guest star. Like that's the first one for me, And
nice.
Yeah. And I go out there. I'm halfway through that episode and I get a text from my agent and he says, hey, they just booked you for 103. Like, what? Dude, I'm like high as a kite rider. I'm like,
stay out in LA.
It's funny because I packed a little carry-on bag.
Right.
With like 3 changes of clothes and some deodorant and told my wife I'll be back in 10 days. And didn't come back for a couple months because I just kept booking. But essentially every episode I worked for the entire season 1. I would find out in the middle of shooting this episode, okay, you're booked for the next one. They never even told me, oh yeah, you're going to be recurring through the whole season. They never told me that. I never knew until the deal memo came in. Okay, you're on the next one. I mean, one time they sent a deal memo that said, okay, you're on 6, 7, and 8. Like during episode 5, they said 6, 7, and 8. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, Roger, I just got 8 episodes as a guest star on this show. Dude,
Right.
It was impossible for me to have a bad day. I was so happy. Like, I'm showing up early to work with a smile on my face, staying late. You need no complaints out of this guy, right? It was amazing. But
so
that
they were writing. I'm sorry, they were writing the episodes as they were shooting one, so they were adding basically. Okay, yeah, we need Judd for this.
Yeah. Early on, they weren't writing for me, but they realized that. All right, we got somebody that does the commander well. We don't need to change it. So, but every script will be written, and it's like, oh yeah, don't forget, got to have the commander say something. The commander's got to be in here. But that led to 22 episodes straight of guest starring for the whole first season, and then finally at the very end when we were shooting on the last day of the last week, or it was the last day of our season 1.
Right.
One of the big executive producers came downstairs and she said, hey, she pulled me aside. She said, look, I wanted you to know that we know what you did for us and we appreciate it. And by that, she meant, I never asked for anything. Like, the whole 22, like some people would ask for a raise, or a lot of the LA actor mentality or the agents and managers out there would say, you've already guest starred for 10 episodes. They need to put you under contract and make you a regular. Well, they don't need to do anything in this business. Okay.
No, they don't. And I know you've told me that before. You told me some people getting screwed at that way.
Yeah. I've seen it happen on that show and other shows where people do that. They play that card and next thing you know, they're they're not on the show anymore. They're, and you're doing a show that loves to kill people, right? Character.
Yeah.
It's a war show, for God's sakes. It's a military show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a no problem. We can just one scene, he's done. So I told Alex halfway through, I said, look, we don't ask for a thing. No raise, no travel money, nothing. And I didn't. And they also knew that my wife and my 3 little children at the time, they were all in Atlanta and I could barely go home. It was like every now and then I would sneak home a trip, but it was like I'd go a couple months at a time without seeing them. So that's what she meant. She said, I want you to know that we know what you did for us and we appreciate it. And my eyes like got all,
Right.
yeah. And she said, and I'm telling you that our first order of business when we go on hiatus is to get you under contract. And I was like, oh yeah, dude. I was so, and she was right, man. A few weeks after we wrapped up for the season, that's when I got the series regular deal.
Your agent called you, or they contacted you, or they told you?
It's basically the network. It's actually above casting when they do that. It's called business affairs of the network.
Okay.
They actually get in touch with your agent and say, here's what we're offering for Judd's series regular thing. And then the agent says, well, that's nice, but could we do this? No, we can't do that, but we can do this. Okay. And then they meet in the middle, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
But it was a learning experience, and it was great. It worked out wonderful. But one thing in this industry, especially when it comes to being an actor, we cannot forget. Look, there are at the very least 1,000 guys just like me that will take that job in a heartbeat, right?
Yep.
So you got to remember that when you're starting to think, well, they should do this, or maybe that I should be getting it. Be easy.
You're at a network show. It's
right.
a network show.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there's not a time, in this business when you should stand up for yourself. There may be.
Yeah. But
overall, I look at it as, man, be grateful because somebody will take it if you don't want it. Unfortunately, that's the nature of our business. What do they call it in real estate, where it's a seller's market, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, this is a producer's market because they've got a long list of actors they can choose from.
And you hit a great point, because people have gotten screwed by just like thinking they're higher than high, holier than thou. And I really believe where you were raised, grew up, cut your teeth in the market that you did. If you had done that, if you'd grown up in LA or New York, it's a different mentality with people that have grown up in those huge markets.
Yeah, no, it totally is.
And you forget about, and I always speak about gratitude is like, be grateful for everything that you have, because it can go like that,
Certainly. Yeah. And to your point, about the mentality, one of the things I noticed even before SEAL Team, I had at one point, I think this was around 2014, I racked up a good bit of credits, and was working a lot. So I said maybe I should get an LA rep, or something. So I was like, I ended up getting a manager in LA for about a year or so. And the mentality out there, that's when I learned that it's different. Okay. So what they do is, the first thing he said was like, oh my gosh, you got like 30 credits. Are these all co-stars? Like, yeah. Oh, no more co-stars, only guest stars. So what do you mean? He said, you need to tell your agent only submit you for guest stars. But what he didn't understand in LA is that you can't have that mentality in the Southeast, because at the time they didn't book many guest stars at all.
Right. Yeah.
as busy as I was, Roger, from 2010 to SEAL Team, okay, in 70, as busy as I was, and I was busy, I didn't get my first guest star read until like late 2015. And I didn't book my first guest star until 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of it, we just didn't get them that often. It took forever to get them, to get those auditions. And then even once we started getting those auditions in the Southeast, they still would book someone from LA. So what I had to explain to that manager was, okay, you can do that for me here if you want. In fact, that's why I want you. I want you to submit me for things that I don't have access to there.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot tell my agent back home to do that, because guess what, Marcus? I won't audition. I might get one audition every 18 months.
Yeah.
And I won't get it because they're going to go to LA for it.
Right.
So the mentality is completely different, because at the time, especially, if you held off in LA, like let's say you were in LA in an act and you got 20 co-stars. Well, then they could say, all right, no more, we're only submitting you for guest stars. But they had access to guest stars. You could book them. But here you couldn't. So that's why the mentality is a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this acting business, not just in the U.S., but in Canada and London. I mean, it really depends on where you started and where you getting your credits. I know in the Southeast, it's obviously co-stars and day players, guest stars, but it's changed over the years. From my experience, from my experience, I know our friend Jesse Malnowski said, I think it's starting 2010 is when it started to, Atlanta really started to boom from what I gather. But I SEAL Team, I was binge watching SEAL Team, and and I got to tell you, first of all, there's a plethora. There's just so much content and TV shows out there. I won't say it's impossible to watch everything, because nothing's impossible, but it is very challenging, especially when I have a 3-year-old and I'm her personal chauffeur. So I've been watch, and it is not a great show. It is an excellent show. It is an excellent show. So can you speak to what your biggest learning experiences from? I know it's a lot to unpack, but what were your biggest learning experiences, not just an actor, but just like the content? And because it's not just like a shoot 'em up, which is awesome, right, and the ops going on these special missions, but the characters and the relationships and what's going on in their head, which applies to a lot of veterans and what they're going through mentally.
That's right. Yeah, just to piggyback on that, Roger, I think I mentioned this to you before, but one of the things that I learned early on when we were shooting this, one of our executive producers is a very experienced guy in television, and he's produced a lot of stuff. And his name's Chris Chulak, awesome dude, and great director as well. And Chris was known for, he developed Shameless, but he's the guy who developed ER back in the day, which ran for umpteen seasons.
One of my favorite shows, watching that growing up.
And it wasn't until later in the season, because right now I'm just kind of adding on to what you said about the show's not just military and all that. But I didn't see the connection when I first started the show. But about halfway through the season, maybe 2/3 of the way through season 1, as we're shooting and I'm reading the scripts and whatever, I'm learning the show, I realized it's the connection and how similar it is to ER, because Chris came up with ER. And what that show did was it used these emergency room crazy situations. This guy's come in with this injury, and it's the hurry up, get the blood, get the this. Oh my gosh. This high stress, like, oh crap, what's going to happen to TV? But they used that to hook you. That was the lure.
Right.
And then once you started watching, the real show, like what the real thing was about the individuals, the men and women that do those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, oh yeah, that SEAL team. They use the choppers and the explosions and the guns and the shoot the bad guys and all that stuff. That's the lure, and it's awesome. But the real point of the show was to show what these men and women that work for our military and put their lives on the line, what
Yeah.
they go through, not just out there, but like at home with their financial issues, with their family issues, with the PTSD, with the injuries. So it is a very, very unique and very realistic show in that aspect. And it is, you're right. I thought from the beginning, man, this is incredible. This is really good. But as far as the things or the biggest learning thing, man, there's so many. I mean, as an actor, I learned so much stuff, obviously. But I mean, if it's just in general, it's like, I tell you what, you think the SEALs are badasses, but they're like they're like superheroes, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I learned. Like I always had respect, and I knew, oh yeah, okay. The SEALs are like the cream of the crop, right? They're a different breed. So that was the first thing I learned was like, oh my gosh, these SEALs are, there's a fine line between superhero and insanity, right? Like they're just nuts, man. They're awesome. And that was huge. Honestly, on a personal level, like I got to do so many things because of being on the show. And I still do today. I get to do so many things for military groups.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Roger, that so I was always a guy, like I respect the heck out of our military since I was a kid. I got family members who have served. So I was the thank you for your service guy, no matter what. Right. But one thing, man, I just want to say this, that I don't get to say this on podcasts much, but one of the things I learned was from the show and from getting to meet so many different military groups and whatever, we got to we did a little set tour, and I did a little bit of work for the Gold Star Wives. It's a group of wives
Right.
who've lost their husbands in combat.
Yeah.
And through our show and through talking to those women, and then talking to individuals in the military, just on a personal basis. Now, if there's a guy who I meet, he's an ex-Marine, he went overseas, whatever, I'll say thank you for service, but I will thank his wife also.
Yeah.
Never did that before.
And
let me tell you, they deserve thanks too.
Most definitely.
They're the ones that are responsible for the at home, keeping the family together while he does that, so that he can do that with a clear head, he or she. So that was a huge, like, something I learned, but something that changed how I feel about something forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's just as tough a job to be a significant other at home. And the mental game also, the mental warfare when your significant other goes off to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, and taking care of business at home, taking care of the kids.
Yeah, or think about Roger. Think about the SEALs. You said Iraq, Afghanistan, because that's where the troops would go, right? But dude, the SEALs, they can't even tell you where they're going. Those missions are hush hush. So imagine being the spouse saying, "Where are you going?" Well,
we can't tell you.
When you come back, like that's got to be rough. Not knowing where your husband or wife is or when they're coming back at all. Like, top secret, So yeah, I think that was probably, like I say, I learned so much stuff from an actor standpoint. I mean, just tons of things, right? But as a person, I think I learned just more. I have so much more respect than I did before, and I had respect before.
It's not just like, when you see military shows or movies, they're badasses and this and that, but you realize they're human beings first and foremost because they're going through all the mental. You got to be mentally right to even go on a mission. And this is another thing, and we were talking about ER. It's like watching ER, the medical jargon, right? Then you're watching SEAL Team, and you got the military jargon.
Ooh, yes.
So I'm sure that was like a tongue, those were tongue twisters as an actor, because you're
Yeah.
not only going to the actions, but now you're like Lieutenant Blackburn is like giving all these directions, and like I'm as an audience, as a viewer, okay, I kind of understand. I
think I got it.
sort of understand, but
Yeah, the show, the producers and writers, they wanted to make they made it a point early on. They did not want to dumb it down for the audience. Wanted to keep it real and let the audience figure it out. So the verbiage, especially the stuff that myself and Tony Trucks, who plays Lieutenant Davis, the dialogue and the verbiage we got, oh man, it was so brutal. It was tough. It was so tough. You're saying paragraphs of stuff and you're using words and names that you've never said before. You don't know how to pronounce that country or that dictator or that.
Judd, your SEAL Team show, there were just so many great episodes, and I know you told me to watch some certain episodes. I watched a lot of them, but there was one episode in that you want to talk about, which was season 1, episode 10, and yes, which is it's a great episode. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so that was one of my favorite episodes in that season. That's one actually that's a little different than all the other episodes in the fact that it's in real time. There's no time jumps in that entire episode.
Right.
Which is really cool. But here's the deal. So, for those of you who have seen it, it's the one where they have to go into a village, into someone's house because they found out they've got intel that there's someone with a phone that has a cell phone registered to a family member in this house. And they know for a fact, the intel says that this person with this phone is connected to a terrorist group.
Right.
And they get into the house, and it's a matter of like, okay, we're in here at the wee hours of the morning, but we got to be out before the sun's up, right? Because then the village is going to know we're here and everything else. And they're all of them, the father, the mother, the kids, they're all swearing, no.
It's like who done it or who has it.
And like, yeah. Like, what are we gonna do? And the clock's ticking, and we got to get out of here. So it was one of my favorite episodes. And but some interesting things about that. First off, I was talking to one of the SEALs about that because we have so many SEALs on our set and writers' room and consultants and that sort of thing. They're so awesome, those guys. And but I was talking to one of them about it, and he said, yeah, that's probably like one of the most common things we did was just like that. We know somebody
home trying to get information
in and out, or get the person
because
you question them, but they got to get them out of there and extract them or whatever safely. So he said that's like one of the most common. I was like, really? It's like, that's so fascinating. So I learned that. But the way that this came about speaks volumes to the movie industry, the film industry. Okay, so when we're shooting this, let me look up the date for something. But
yeah, no problem.
No, it's because there's something very timely that happened. That was episode 10. So during while we're shooting, I think maybe episode 8. They got the here it is, 2017. Yep. Okay. So it must have been around September or so. We get this script. So we got the scripts a little bit early during that time. And by the time you get to the end of the season, man, you're getting the script like right before you shoot it. Because they're ahead at the beginning and then
Right. And then
right.
it kind of slows down a little and you have to kind of
Yep. So we started the season in July, and now we're late September. They've written 10, and 10 was the episode was supposed to be the guys have to go down to, I believe, a South American, Brazilian city. Go down to Brazil because there's an active shooter at a soccer game, and they got to go, or active shooters, and they got to go take care of business. Okay. We're supposed to shoot that thing like in mid-October, something like that. Well, October 1st was the Las Vegas shooting. You remember 2017, the guy with the hotel at the concert?
Judd, guess where I was?
Were you in Vegas?
Yeah,
Oh
we had our company convention in Vegas, and my wife and I, we remember that night because we had gone to our favorite steakhouse. We were in Apple Valley Ranch, and it was the last night. It was a Sunday night, I believe, and then we took 15 up. For those who know Vegas, we didn't take the strip. We took 15 to the restaurant, and then we went back home, and we did not take the strip, thank God. But we went home, and we didn't know until the morning after we got text. Are you guys okay? Blah blah blah. But anyway, I digress because I was there that night because we were like, oh my God. But go ahead.
No, that's fascinating. Well, on October 1st, 2017, the Las Vegas shooting happens.
Yeah.
And all of the scripts, on a network TV show, it's like, they go through so many drafts and this and that. And ultimately, writers, right, the producers love it. Okay, we sign off. And the network eventually signs off on it as well. Well, all of a sudden, the Vegas shooting happens, and the network's like, episode 10, when they go down for the act, it's too soon.
Can't do that.
Like, can't do it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the exact number of days, but I think that they informed the SEAL team producers that you can't do episode 10 8 days before we had to shoot it. So the episode 10 that I was saying, make sure you watch that one. That was written, conceived, set, decked, everything cast in 8 days.
Wow. That is.
They had to build the house, do this,
speed.
That's insane. You know what I mean?
And it makes sense though. Now it makes sense because when you're watching all the other episodes, they're on the plane, they're getting ready.
There's so many locations.
There's so many locations, but it starts off with them breaking into this house.
Yes. And there's only two things. There's the command where we were.
Right.
With the general talking to the guys, trying to get the phone, but there's only 2 locations.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, it didn't now it's like making sense the way you told me because of what happened on October 1st.
Yeah. And to me, it's just such a great example of like all the crew, the writers, when you go on a TV set or a movie set, it's like a village of ants. I mean, there's so many people just working on all their different things. And in a situation like that, you realize how good all of them are at what they do. Everyone from the writers to the caterers, everything. It's just, they're so good. And again, it's one of those times where it's like we were faced with a group is faced with a challenge. You got 8 days.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And let's do this story. It's only 2 locations. And let's put it in real time. So there's not a lot of time jumps, because then we'd have to change location. No, just keep it this. And it came out to be one of our most stressful, very realistic, because like I said, the guys always do that mission in real life. Came out to be one of the most realistic, tense episodes we ever did. And it was done with 8 days. Like, thought of, built the house, cast the characters for the family. Everything was done in 8 days, and then shoot it. And I just thought, man, that's impressive.
And it's such a great episode. The name of the episode is called Pattern of Life. For those of you who
Love it
haven't
to you.
watched it, definitely watch it. The family the house of the family house, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's so, man. You're just like, yeah, it is. It's
Like you
one of
said, it happens. I mean, like you say, it's coming from the SEALs
yeah.
mouths that this is like one of their most common missions, ops. I've learned so much just watching, like 10 episodes of SEAL Team. I assume that you learned a lot doing SEAL Team for 7 seasons. I would say as an actor, as a series regular on a major TV show, what were you could talk maybe one or two challenges as an actor. What were like, that you just like, okay, I can do this, or
Yeah.
um it may
Uh,
be like a roadblock, it may be a wall that you had to go up or around or
yeah. So, um, couple of them, I remember early on in season one, I kind of realized like starting on episode number 2 and 3, 4, early season one,
yeah,
I realized, that they weren't, and which I don't blame them, they weren't writing this with any thought into my character. They were trying to develop their regulars at the time,
right.
tell the story that they're telling that week. And I was kind of an afterthought because I had to be there, not Judd, but the character Blackburn
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Commander. So I kind of realized, well, I'm just there to say certain things. Okay, that's cool. But where it
Which
was
you were
kind of
excellent at, which you definitely held court there. So I have to give you props on
not,
that.
yeah, and I guess the challenge though was like, um, I mentioned we had SEALs on set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started a few episodes in. I'm like, I'm not. I want to understand, what is Lieutenant Commander? What is he like? What does he do? What is his
Okay.
thing? Like,
Right.
because the only info I've got are literally my lines in the script to tell me about a lieutenant commander. And there weren't many of them early on in the
Early
beginning.
on. Right.
So, right. So I'm trying to figure out like who this guy is and what makes him tick and what his real thoughts are or responsibility. And so I started asking the SEALs, hey, Tyler or whoever, Dan, I was like, tell me about Lieutenant Commander. And what I realized real quick is that's the equivalent, Roger, of me asking 10 people at various jobs, tell me about your boss. You're going to get like 8 to 10 different answers. Like, well, some of them said, oh, yeah, he was really cool. Some, oh, man, prick, cake eater. Yeah, they're lazy. They don't know anything. Some of them, that's the people you need to listen to. Like, the answers were all over the place.
All over the
I'm
place.
like, dang it. So that was a challenge early on, was like trying to figure out, like, because the writers didn't even know what they were doing with me at the beginning. And then they realized, oh, he can give the exposition. Him and Tony can say all the tough stuff of the mission. So that became a thing, but still trying to figure out
The character. Right.
stuff, right? And eventually, at the beginning of season 2, I ended up getting to talk to a former lieutenant commander, first time. And that was awesome because I was asking questions and he could answer them from the lieutenant commander's perspective. And that guy's actually a famous author. I don't want to say his name, but you've probably heard of him.
Yeah,
You've probably heard of him. Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. He, great dude, great dude. He was a fan of our show. So we'd set up a couple of Zoom calls where I just asked him questions and questions. And that really helped. But that was a tough wall at the beginning. Like, yeah, I'll say the words and get the job done, but I don't know anything about a guy that does this. You know what I mean? So that was a challenge. The other thing was dialogue itself.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, as we started getting later into season 1, and Tony and I we'd get these monster paragraphs that were ridiculous, right? So when I'm in LA, and I'm shooting an episode. Let's say, for example, I'm shooting episode 14 or something. The way it works on the calendar is Monday. Let's say the episode starts on Monday. It would run 8 weekdays. So it'd be Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the next episode, 15, would start. So they're one after another. Well, conventional wisdom says this. You get the schedule and you say, oh, look, I'm working Monday, Thursday, and Monday. I got a couple of days off here and there, right? You then look at your one-liner to see what scenes you're shooting Monday. I'm shooting these 2 scenes. Oh, look, on Thursday, I've got the really tough dialogue. So conventional wisdom says, that's when I say the big paragraphs. Get started on that early, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe after I get my scene shot Monday, I'm going to start diving into Thursday's work Monday night because I got nothing else to do Tuesday and Wednesday, right? I'm off. Right. On those lines, memorize those lines, memorize those lines, memorize those lines. That's the way I would do it, just like anyone else would, until late in the season of season 1. One day, in that scenario, let's say Thursday was my tough dialogue.
Right.
And I practiced it for the week. I got it down. And then Wednesday afternoon at about 4:15, an email comes in, a new draft of the script. Some of these changes work tomorrow. So it's your job as the actor. You got to go check the changes. I check the changes, and I've got like a 3-paragraph thing to say. And they have changed it so many spots where it's still kind of the same, but totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God. And Roger, that was the hardest thing because now you've memorized it a different way.
Yeah.
It's like if I took a song that you know the words to, and it said, okay, and I changed every 3rd line of Hotel California is now new.
Right.
Well, and I play that song for you.
Yeah.
Your mind's still going to be singing the old lines, right?
The other old ones.
And how long would it take you to start singing it with the new ones? A while.
Mm-hmm.
And I dare say it's harder to remember or to memorize the edit than it is to memorize it to begin with. So
that's happened to me too.
Yeah.
Even on like a couple lines, but you're like reading paragraphs. But so for actors out there, how did you manage? How did you manage this within a short span of time?
What I did was equally as big of a wall, and that was I learned that day, do not memorize in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is if I worked, let's say Monday, Thursday, Monday, then I would not print my material out and start memorizing it until 5 p.m. the day before.
Okay.
So Thursday's work, I'm going to start memorizing it Wednesday after 5 p.m. And you say, well, that sucks. You don't have as much time. I know, but I'd rather have less time to memorize it, but memorize it the way we're going to shoot it than to have to rememorize it with a new thing. So typically the writers would go home around 4:30. So I knew if you didn't get a rewrite by 5-ish,
you're okay.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to start doing. And I would wait till the night before. And memorization, I would just say, I'm going to work on it and get it that night before. I would do it till I got it about 75% right. And then I'd put it away and go to bed. And I'd get up the next morning, get on the treadmill or something before I would shoot and get that exercise in. And I would run it and get it from 75 to like 98% and then go to work. So that was my system. But yeah, it was developed over some headaches, you know what I mean? Like, oh crap.
But you're absolutely right. It's like, well, once you get to know the writers, okay, well, if you don't have any rewrites by 4:35, you're cool. But on a procedural show, like I had one line on Blue Bloods and I memorized it. It changed before I got on set. And psychologically, it just like it just threw me off because and I had to do, I was in my head and blah blah blah. So yeah, I mean it's loosely memorizing it where because you can't be married to it until they yell action.
I know, right? One other thing that happened that was on that same note. It was so challenging, and this happened to me, I think, 2 times, and that's where memorize it. And so you got this, let's say, a big paragraph. Well, in TV, like, why do you make changes? Well, okay, if I'm breaking down some verbiage about the mission or an op, right?
Yeah.
And let's say that the episode or the producers have a problem during that episode, we might not be able to use that location that we've got booked for next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at a big warehouse in North Korea. Okay.
Right.
And we find there's bad news about the location, and it might be changed to a old shopping center in North Korea. And it may have to be at night instead of day. Okay. So now when Blackburn is describing the events, I'm going to go in at 3 p.m. There's an abandoned warehouse outside the such and such, right? Now we need to change that to we hit it at midnight, old shopping center outside of such and such. Like, so the verbiage has to change. You with me?
Yeah.
So that's a reason there may be a change. Well, this one time, the first time I was like, OMG. I'm in my trailer, suited up, just did hair, makeup, waiting to go to set. The showrunner walks in. He's like, hey, buddy, need a favor. I said, yeah, what's up? So, you know those couple paragraphs where you talk about what they're going to do? I was like, yeah. He said, I need you to, it needs to change to this. And he gives it to me. And it's mostly the same, but a few little differences because there's a location thing. And I said, okay, I got you, man. I got you. He said, one more thing. I said, what? He said, we're not sure how we're going to shoot it. So I need you to do both. I need you to give the lines the original way and then give it with the new changes. Now, Roger, the cameras keep moving and changing. So I've got to basically do the A version, the whole scene, and then the A version of the paragraph.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Now go again. The whole scene, the B version of the paragraph. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, man, you want to talk about like I was exhausted after that day just from the mental workout.
Mental gymnastics there.
Yes, it was insane. It only happened to me 2 times, but it was probably the biggest mental challenge I've had on something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it got to where it was crazy. It's like I would do the full scene, walk around, do the thing, run the paragraph. And I told the director, I said, okay, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the whole scene for you. And then as soon as I get to that paragraph, I'm going to stop, hold the look. You keep rolling. I'll call out version B. And then I'll start the paragraph again and say it that way. And I'll just do that for every shot we do. And he goes, that sounds great. So literally every shot I would do that. And it was so hard, man. So hard. But it was a good challenge, like.
Hey, listen, I'm sure over 7 seasons, if you only had to do that once or twice or even 3 times, that's probably.
Yeah, it was good. It was so brutal that you remember it, though.
Yeah.
You'll never forget it.
Let me ask you, how was the camaraderie between, because, obviously you're playing superheroes, SEAL team superheroes, but just off the set, was there sort of like a camaraderie as well?
Awesome. Yeah.
I know on set and the shows it's like they show up. What's the name of that bar? It's kind of their watering hole.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, you're making
Yeah.
me.
I forget, but yeah, but that's where they kind of like commiserate and
Yeah, it's going to come to me in a second.
yeah.
When I'm not thinking of it, because I'm trying to think of it now.
No,
Like,
it's okay. It's okay.
uh, but yes, the camaraderie was amazing, man. It was
Yeah.
awesome. We were all, pretty much from the pilot on, like we all got to be pretty, like everybody just kind of hit it off on the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Show started shooting. It was like being with friends, man. It was all the time. It was great, and I still, we finished the show shooting wise. We finished over a year ago, and
Right.
I still talk to the people that I work with. I still talk to um, our I'll text our head camera guy or our makeup, or you know what I mean. Like they're
Yeah.
all such dear friends. You end up um, working with those people, not just the actors, but the crew members and such. Some of them for 7 straight years. And
Yeah.
someone mentioned, when we were finally finishing the seventh season and we're getting close to the end, and someone mentioned like everyone was starting to get the kind of the feels like, oh, this is good, getting close, and someone was like, man, 7 years, that's like all of your middle school and all of your high school. And when
Yeah.
you stop and think of it in those terms,
It's like high school or high school. Yeah. Middle school, high
it's like
school.
sixth, seventh, eighth grade,
Yeah.
middle school,
Yeah.
and then 4 years of high school. It's like the same period. Like, and we were like, yeah. And that is a long time. It's like not often that unless you work a job for a long time, it's not often that you work with the same people and get that close for that long of a period as an adult. So yeah, it was awesome, man. I still consider all those people just the best friends ever. Like family.
Right. Well, congratulations again on 7 seasons of SEAL Team. All good things eventually come to an end, like Friends, like ER, like All in the Family, all these shows, and obviously SEAL Team. So, as far as your acting career now, it's back to the drawing board. It's back,
To the grind.
back to the grind. And what is like a mindset coming out of that, knowing that okay, this is not going to last forever. So for any series regulars who are looking for jobs right now or watching, what do you do? What is your kind of like? Do you get? Is it getting together with the agent and like, okay, this is what we're going to do, or this is what I want to do?
Well, I always say, I kind of knew this before even getting this job, but I always tell people now, especially, I'm like, you ever get into something, if you ever get a gig and you're making the money, you're making some money, save your money.
Right. Yeah.
Because I knew, like with SEAL Team, it's like they never told us after the first season, okay, we're gonna be on for 7 seasons. No,
No.
you could be off. I mean, they could pick you back up for a second season and then something changes and never mind. Like it can end at any moment. At any moment, the show can end, right? So I kind of knew that, but I really say in this day and age, it's like in our 7 seasons, Roger, we had the pandemic and the strike
Yeah. Yeah.
within our run. So if you get on a show, it's funny because your deal, ironically enough, is for 7 years. It's like they a standard series regular contract will say this contract is good for 7 years.
Mm.
So like mine started for season 2. So that would mean 2 through 8 would be my,
Run.
but there's no guarantee it's going to go to 3, 4, 2. So, but you get that in your head and you start doing the episodes and making money. And there is part of you that's like, oh, we got it made. It's all good. But you got to remember, hell, the pandemic hit and that rocked everyone's world because
Yeah. You couldn't shoot.
we couldn't shoot for 8 months. We were used to we would shoot for 9 months and take off 3.
Right.
Right back would work 9 months off for 3. And then all of a sudden pandemic hits and we're off for 8 months straight. Then we go back to work, but we only go back to work for 4 months because they cut the seasons down. because it's like, well, look, if we're going to go back to work, we got to shorten it. We got to, you know, to keep us safe, you know, and everything with all the rules and everything that we're hitting with the pandemic. So that changed everything. Like it changes your schedule, your money, I mean, everything. So you just never know. And then, okay, now I'm used to working 4 and taking off 7 or 8 months. And then what happens? Oh, now we're going to go on a 7-month strike.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, right. So I always say, just whatever you make, be saving it, be smart.
Right.
Because you could go, you never know what's the next thing to hit, right? Knock on wood, I pray nothing else does, but you just never know. And that's probably my biggest message to anybody. If you ever get on a show, first of all, don't assume it's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
Be smart, save your money, whatever. Be grateful. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get a big head, right?
Nope.
Then as far as after the fact, now it's like, I don't really talk to the agent about what I want. I'm the guy who just wants to work. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's going to be tough to top a show like SEAL Team when it comes to like, not just the quality, but when we did a show that I feel like, let me explain it like this. As an actor, if you can get on a show where you get a recurring deal, I mean, that's a win, right?
That's a good, yeah.
If you get on and you get 22 episodes, you get a whole season. That's a huge win. But if you get on something that is good, you actually like the show, that's even a bigger win, right?
Yeah.
So we had all of that, but also that show, I kind of felt like there's lots of good shows. Like I love Ozark, like different shows,
God.
right?
Yeah, one of my favorite shows.
Man, that's one of my favorite shows right now.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can get on a show that you feel like is doing something good for the country,
yep,
man, that's a huge bonus, right? So in SEAL Team, like I just felt with SEAL Team, I felt like all those were in place, right? Like, pinch me, I'm dreaming. Like, don't tell CBS, but I'd probably do this for free. Like, you know what I mean? It's
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
So amazing. So whatever I do next, it's really just I want to work. I want to play a character. I want to, but I also know maybe it's going to be another 20 years before I get one that makes me feel that way, and that's fine. I don't care, because I had that, right? It was awesome. But bro, sign me up. I just like to work. Well, I'm at the time right now, Roger, and you'll understand this.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point right now where I got two 13-year-olds and a 14-year-old. So I'm coming up on driving years, proms, college, all that stuff. So man, I'm just like, I tell the agent, let's just get work,
you get to spend more time with your kids and watch them wrestle, and like you said, prom time, Sweet 16, all that good stuff. Something for me to look forward to. Let's end off on confidence.
Okay.
And how I mean, you're a fairly confident kind of guy, but for people who are new to the business, it's a hard business. It's subjective and this and that. For people out there who are like trying to make their way, they got an agent, they're, how do they keep that confidence? In your opinion, how can they keep that confidence?
Everyone's different. And, it's not a one size fits all, but I will say this, the confidence factor is so important.
Yes.
And when it finally clicks for you in this business, as far as like, no, I'm confident, like whether I get this role or not, I know what I'm doing and I'm secure in that. Like whether you hire me or not, because I may not be right for everything, but I'm good at what I do. Once you can say that out loud and like know that, that's when things really get, I don't want to say easier, it's never easy, but it gets a little, it just gets easier to handle. And And I also say that it's more attractive to other people sometimes, right?
Yeah.
To be secure in what you're doing. So when you get to that, that's different for everyone. But I also say this, it's like if someone's just starting out and they just got their agent, they're trying to get the first gig.
Yep.
A lot of people will be like, well, yeah, but Judd, you're coming because you got these credits or your credit. Roger, you've gotten all these jobs. So I can understand how you could be confident, but I'm still working on my first one. Okay, stop. I understand. However, if I ask, let's say you've never worked a job yet, Roger, and I'm like, but you're a good actor, right? Yeah, I'm a good actor. Okay, if your little brother says, you're doing what acting? You think you're good enough for that? You'd say, yeah. And you'd be confident as can be, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, I take you and I put you in a casting situation, and you're like, yes, well, I mean, like all of a sudden, where'd the confident Roger go? Right? All that changed was the audience.
Yeah.
You went from talking to your little brother, you were confident as can be. You're like, yeah, I'm going to make it. I put you in the casting room and you're like, please give me the job. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to, what, where'd it go? So, and people will say, well, Judd, like, I know, but if you don't have a little bit of success or some validation, it's tough to be confident about it. I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, maybe just try acting. You're an actor.
Hello.
Try to act it. Act as if you are successful.
Act as if.
Act as if.
Act as if.
You've booked 100 jobs. And I don't mean be rude. Be the kind, grateful person you are. But know that you are good at what you do. And the minute you can look at this like a door-to-door sales, if you're selling knives door to door, and you walk up to the door and the person's like, I'm not interested, blah, blah, you don't take it personal. Oh, okay, next one. Or the next one, you go in and you pitch your knives and they let you present it and they're like, I'm not interested. You go, dang, almost, but you don't take it personal. It's not because of you. And the third one, you sell some knives and you keep going. Why do we should look at this the same way. Hey, I'm great at what I do. I may or may not be right for this job. If I'm not, awesome. Good luck on everything. Good luck on finding someone. I'll go find another deal. You'll find someone else and maybe we'll work together one day. It'll be awesome. The minute we have that attitude, I think it just drops so much pressure off of us that we almost become a different person and it becomes more attractive to the casting people, to the directors, to the producers. So fake it till you make it. Act if you got to act. You're a good actor. Okay, so act like you've been doing this for years and you're super successful. And the minute you can start really believing it, that's when it really, I think, really pays off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, first of all, that is like top advice from Judd Lormand. Al Pacino, you just remind me, Al Pacino said, it was in an interview, said, when you're first painting your house, not like great, not the best, but then you do it again and it's a little better. And, every time you paint your house, you just get better at it.
Yeah.
And that's acting. Every master is once a disaster, I've heard. I mean, everybody starts. Judd started somewhere. I started somewhere. Meryl Streep started somewhere. I'm sure everyone has their origin stories, but
yes,
confidence comes from within. But you can definitely, like you said, fake it till you make it. Act as if.
And as far as I've been auditioning so many times, I just hadn't got anything. I remember saying this on Ryan Glorioso. I did his podcast. I said this year.
Yes.
And I still believe this to this day. I still look at this today. You should embrace the no's. When they give you a no, when you don't get it, because every no is one no closer to the yes. I don't care if your ratio is 1 in 20 or if it's 1 in 100. This no is one no closer to the yes. And then you start looking at it like that, and you're like, yeah, I like the no's. Give me another no. Give me another no. Give me another no. Because that means I'm closer to the yes. That's how you really got to believe. And you got to not just say it, you got to believe that. And it's true. It's numerically and literally true. So if I had to give anybody any advice in this business, it'd be that. Believe it.
Believe it and you'll achieve it. Thank you, Judd Lormand. Thank you,
bro,
being on this
podcast. Yeah, we'll do it again anytime you want. We'll do it again.
Yeah, I mean, fun. There's so much we unpacked today, but there's so much more. I'm sure we can go next time. Thank you. And where can people find you?
Yeah, mostly I don't do the X stuff. Mostly Instagram at Judd Lormand. And also I have a page on there for auditioning actors who like tips or whatever. That's at Audition with Judd. Either one of those, hit me up. That's where I'm at.
So see Judd there. He has a lot of great tips and advice on acting and probably life. So thank you, Judd. We'll see you next time. And
yeah, man, I appreciate it, bro.
Can't wait to see you on the next version of SEAL Team.
You got it, man. Yeah, I can't wait either.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Rad Actor Mindset Podcast. If you got value from today's episode, please share it with a friend and hit that subscribe button. Let's keep building the mindset that gets you on set and keeps you there. See you next time.